Alright, so we'll go over this InClass07 and we'll look at how we can implement it using fragments. This is what the InClass looks like. So there is a list view in the first view, and then there is a create to create, and then there is an avatar select. Perfect. So basically there are 3 fragments, 1 activity. Alright, so let's see. So let's create a new project, and that project I'm going to put it in desktop. It's going to be called okay, so let's call it InClass07. Just do this, and this one is going to be in the desktop. Okay, it's going to be here InClass07. all right, next, and finish. So I have my activity. It will create an activity for me, and now I will create the 3 fragments. So I know I need 3 fragments, and one of them is the list view. All right, so let's see. So here's the project. There is already an activity, and it uses app-compat. This means it's the support library. So whenever I'm creating these fragments, I have to make sure that they are using the support library. Okay, so I'll create new fragment. Okay, it's still building. Okay, new fragment, a blank fragment, and I'll call this one the user list fragment. Okay, or maybe contact list fragment. The contact list fragment. And the question you have to ask yourself whenever you're creating a fragment: will I be passing any data to this fragment when I am starting? I can do that. So basically, whenever this fragment is going to start, maybe I will send it the list of users, right? So these are a list of contacts that I have, and let's say we maintain the list of contacts in the main activity. So let's forget about this fragment for the time being. Let's create a class that will have contact. All right, and then that contact is going to have a name, email, phone, and department. All right, so name, phone, email, and department. So string name, phone, email, and department. So basically that's the contact. You can generate a constructor for it that has all the 3 terms. I can also create, if I need a constructor that is empty, I can do that also. So let's do a constructor which is empty, and then I create a getter and setter for everything. So basically I have my contact. Maybe I can create a toString just for debugging purposes. A toString everything. Excellent. So I have my contact class. Let's say inside here I'll have an array list of contact, and I'll call it the contacts. That is a new array list. Okay, so basically that's an array list of contacts. Perfect. So basically that is here. All right, so basically now let's say we will create a new fragment. Now the question is, it's a blank fragment. Now my question is, when this fragment starts, I need to pass it the list of objects, right? So I need to pass it the list of objects, or the list of, because the list exists here in the activity. All right, so basically what I will do is, probably I need a factory method, and I'll use also a callback interface. I'll say finish, and I like to remove all these comments that come with this. The first parameter that whenever I want to create a new fragment, that first parameter is going to be what? It's going to be the contacts, right? That's my first parameter. Now this creates a new fragment, says, why does it say blank fragment? Did it call blank fragment? Oh, I didn't give it a good name. Okay, so let's go here. We will refactor, rename. I'll call it the contacts, right? Okay. Refactor, rename, contacts, fragment. Yes, do the refragment. Perfect. Okay, so that's my fragment. It's a contacts fragment. It extends fragment. Just something to see is that the first parameter that I'm going to use is going to be, see here, this is a method that is going to be used as a factory method that creates this kind of fragment. And what I'm going to do is that whenever you create a new one, I want to pass you the list of I'm going to pass you the list of contacts. So I'll say contacts array list of contact, and I'll call this contacts. Or we want to call it param1 is fine. Param1. So basically that's what's happening here. And basically what's happening is it's creating a new instance, creating a bundle, and adding these parameters to the bundle. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put serializable. Okay, and that reminds you of what? That reminds you of creating an intent, right? So basically it creates a fragment, sets the arguments, and so on. So let's say in here we will have, I'll create a parameter, I'll call it contacts, right? But this is an array list of contact objects. Okay, that's what's going to hold the contacts, right? So basically I can delete all of that stuff that I don't need. Now when we are here, you see whenever it's on create, it gets the arguments, the first argument, and that's going to be the m contacts equal to this, and I'm not going to get a string, I'm going to get a serializable, right? And then probably this needs to be cast to this. All right, so basically here we are. And then we have the on fragment the interface. We'll look at the interface in a little bit, but that's basically what is happening here, right? Okay, so basically maybe we can now we created the fragment. Now let's go to the layout. It's still called blank. I'll rename it to refactor rename. I'll call it contacts. All right, so perfect. So did it rename the view here? Yes, contacts here is good. Okay, so that's the contacts one, and I prefer to use relative layouts. So let's go here. This is the constraint layout. I'll change it to a relative layout. All right, so I have a relative layout. Now I'll change its name, the ID, to be content view. Right, so that's the ID of the relative layout. This is for the main activity. Okay, Control A, Control C. I'll just copy this, and that becomes also the layout for the fragment. But for the fragment, it's not going to be content layout. I don't need an ID for the fragment. Main dot. Okay, I don't even need this one. This is just for the tooling. Okay, so this we are here. Now we know that it's going to look like what it needs to look like. There is a button, and then there is a list view. Okay, cool. So now we need to have a button and a list view. Go back to the design. I need a button. Here is the button, and then there is a list view. So containers, there is a list view. I drag it, drop it. This button, the width will be match parent, and so here we are. And then the text for the button is what? Create. It's called what? Create new contact. Okay, cool. So now we'll go here. Text for button. Okay. We'll do a new string. Create contact. Create new contact. All right, perfect. The button is gonna be called create. I'm gonna call it create. All right, and then this is a list view. I'll call it list view. All right, perfect. So that's my list view. Excellent. So I have now the list view and so on. So basically, I think we're good here with regard to the list view. We're good also with regard to the create new contact button. So now in the main activity, now when the main activity starts, I want to load that contact, right? So basically, what this contacts fragment. To do that, I say get support fragment manager dot begin transaction dot add, and then I'm gonna pick this one, okay, which has a tag just in case. It has a container view that is going to hold the fragment, and then the fragment, and then the string tag. So now let's see how we're gonna do that. So int content view. So this is the first one is gonna be r.id.content view, and then here is gonna be my new fragment, right? And then here is gonna be the tag. So let's say contacts fragment, for example. I can call it like that if I want. That's the tag, okay? Now here is gonna be my fragment. I'm not gonna create the fragment just saying new something. I'm gonna use the factory method. Okay, so how do I use the factory method? You just say contacts fragment dot new instance, and I'm gonna pass it the contacts list. So that's basically the way to create a new fragment. Actually, this should return a new fragment. The problem here is it is not able to recognize the second argument. Okay, so why? Because if you look at the top here, we are importing the fragment class, and it extends the fragment class, but we should use the support library. So basically, I deleted the import, Alt enter. It tells me there are two options. I'll pick the version 4, and now this means that it's using the support library. And now when you go back here, it doesn't complain. All right, add, and then you say commit. All right, so we have to commit. So basically, if I run this, if you know, it's going to crash. Why? Because you could see here on attach, it checks to see if the context, which is the activity, is an instance of this on-fragment interaction listener, which is the interface. If not, it actually throws an exception. So basically, I need to implement this interface. Okay. Now, I like to call it something related. I like to call this interface something related to this fragments. So basically, but it's up to you. So basically, what I'm going to do is I'll keep this function for the time being, but I need to implement this interface. So basically, to implement this interface, I go to the main activity. I say implement contacts fragment dot, and then the interface. Now it asks me to implement the method. Okay, implement the method, and then I implemented the method that it needs. I need to implement. Now when I run it, I will supposed to see. It's supposed to show an application which has a list, but that list, of course, I didn't populate anything. It probably will just show the button, right? Okay, so I know that we will need to create an adapter, and then that the adapter is going to have a list, and we have to implement get view and all of that interesting stuff, right? But let's implement the layout only for each item, right? Okay. Until this is running, we can go ahead and implement. So I'll copy this. I'll copy the layout for the fragment, and I'll paste it, and I'll say, for example, contact item layout. Okay, just contact item layout, and I know that what I will need is that's the contact item layout. It's doing something here. Okay, I know that I will have an image view. Let me import the images. Okay, the images that are needed for this. Okay, so where is the image? Where are the images? You're provided with the support file. I'll unzip the support file. Okay, there we are. Okay, and I need to bring in these files into the drawables folder. So I'll go reveal in Finder. Okay, so I have the drawable folder. I'll just copy these, put them here, and close. So basically I need to implement this row, right? So this row has a picture, 4 text views, and 4 text views, okay? All right, so I need an image view. So here is an image view. Drop here, let's say it's this one, and then I need text views. Here's a text view, here is 1, and then here is 2, right? And then here is 3, and then the 4th one is somewhere here. Okay, perfect. So I have them. I have to make sure also that this relative layout is the height is content, wrap content. So because this is the row, right? I'm not gonna format it, but there is an image view, and then there is a probably a name. I'll call it name. And maybe this one is what? Name, and then email, phone, and department. So this is email. Oops. Email. And then this one is going to be phone. Okay, and then this one is going to be department. Okay. So I think we're good. We have all of them. Okay. That's the layout. Now I know if you go to the application actually did run. Nothing inside there in the list, so we cannot see the list. But I know that I will need to have a what do you call it? An adapter, right? That is going to work with this list view. So I'll call it, for example, contacts adapter, and this is extends an array adapter, and then basically here it's going to be contact. All right, perfect. So now this is this. Why it's not happy? We need to implement probably. Oh, you need a constructor. Okay, cool. So we need some constructor. The constructor needs a context and a resource ID, or I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick this one, which has a list of objects, right? Here we go. All right, so that's this. Okay, so that's basically what is happening here. And basically what I could do is whenever I need the context, I can just say get context, right? But we are here, so basically we'll just pass the context. That's fine. You need the resource ID, you need the list of objects, and so on. Okay, good. So now we also know that we need to implement, we need to override a method that's called getView, right? So that's the getView method. Okay, and okay, good. So basically that's the adapter. We'll get the code for the adapter from the wiki. Here's the wiki, and I just need the code for the adapter, which is here, the list view, managing list views. Here is the code for the adapter. Here it is. I just need to get, for example, there's one that I'm not going to use the view holder for this, but basically I need this code. I just need these two. Okay. All right, perfect. So basically in the get view, you need to return a view, right? So basically you are given the convert view. So basically I'm going to return the convert view, and I'm going to check to see if the convert view is null or no. And if it's null, I'm going to inflate, right? So if convert view is equal to null, then we're going to inflate that convert view, which is this code, right? So that's basically the code here. I'm going to inflate it, right? And then the inflation is going to be what? Contacts item list layout. So basically that's inflating the convert view, right? Now what we need to do is we need to retrieve the image view. Okay, so the image view. Oh, let's get the contact. So we say contact equal to get item at position. There it is. So that's the contact that we would like to display, right? We need text views, and these text views are, what are these text views? So basically I'm gonna get in these text views, right? What do we call them? Text view name, email, and image view. Okay, good. So text view name equal to convert view, find view by id, r.id dot, then this is the text view, right? So that's the name. I know I need 4 of them, right? So the other one is text view email, and then you have text view phone, and then you have text view department. Okay, email, phone, and department. You also can get the image view. Okay, so these are these, and then basically what I'm going to do is for the text view name dot set text, what it's going to be contact dot get name, right? So that's for this one, and then text view email dot set text the contact dot get email. Text view department dot set text contact dot get a department, and then text view phone dot set text contact dot get phone. Okay, so that's this. Let's address the image view in a little bit, but I'm not gonna address it now. Okay, so basically we are getting these edit texts, the text views, and then updating their values with whatever is in the contact, and then we're returning the convert view. Cool. Okay, excellent. All right, so now let's use that adapter. How do we use it? Where are we going to use it? We use it here in the on create view. Okay, view equals this, and then we're returning the view. Okay, perfect. So that's this. Now I know that I'm going to need an adapter, right? I know that I will need an adapter that is going to hold it, and the list view. So basically, let's create the list view, and we'll call it list view. And we have the contacts adapter that we just created, and we'll call it the contacts adapter. That's the adapter. Excellent. So when we are here, what we're going to do is we are going to actually create the adapter. So how do we create the adapter? It's straightforward. So we'll say the contacts adapter equals new. Okay, before we do that, let's get the list view. How do you get the list view? Our list view equals view dot find view by id r dot id dot the list view. Okay, and then the contacts adapter equals new contacts adapter, and then what does it need? It needs three things. The context is the m listener, right? And then the resources r dot id dot r dot layout dot a dot the item, and then the objects is what m contacts. These are my objects, and here. Okay, it might not be happy with this. In that case, you just say get context. In that case, it gets you the context. So basically, you can get context by just calling get context. And then in the list view, what we're going to do is we're going to say list view dot set adapter to the context adapter. Okay, cool. So that's this. If you want to set up the on-click listener of the listener, you can do it also here. You know. Now there is also a button, right, that we created in the layout. Where is the button? That button is called button create. Okay, cool. So now you also set up the handler for the button here. You know, okay. So you say view dot find view by id r dot id dot button create dot set on-click listener new on-click listener. So basically here we are. This is when the button gets created. Let's say log d. Alright, so basically it needs a tag. I'll just put the tag at the top here. Okay. Alright, I'll just say the button has been clicked. And basically if we say in the main activity, let's put some users just so that at least we can play with this. Okay, so let's say dot add new contact, and I think it needs 4 strings. Needs 4 strings as I remember. Alright, so basically name, we'll say Bob. This is the phone number. Email is b@b.com. And then the department is CSS. Same story. I will add another one just to make sure that things are being wired correctly. And this is going to be Alice. And this is Eve. And these are all ones, just for the sake of experimenting. And then these are all twos. This is A, D, D, CS. Okay, fine. Alright, if we run it, it's supposed to show us the list of users, right? Starting with Bob and ending with Eve. Alright, so that's basically what is happening here. And here we are. We see the users. These are the pictures and so on, right? So in this assignment also we can go to the contacts, let's say the contact thing, and I will add an integer, and that integer is going to be which is going to be the image ID, just the image ID for that user. Okay, because these are, I'll add here the resource ID of the user. Okay, so, and I'll remove this constructor and add another constructor which has all of them. Okay, so it has the image ID. All right, perfect. And then I'll add also a getter and setter for that image ID. All right, perfect. All right, so maybe when it starts with a -1. If it was never set up, it will be a -1, right? Okay, just -1 will be it was never set up. I'll just add zeros here. Okay, cool. So here we are. Okay. So now I just added an image so that we can handle that image thing situation, right? So that's the image, right? So now the question is, if you click on this create new contact, I would like to start another fragment. Okay, so let's create that other fragment. So right click, new fragment, and a blank fragment. And what I'm going to do here is create contact. Okay, right. So here's the create contact fragment. Now you also have to think about it. So basically, when you click here, what you want to do is you want to create another fragment, right? And that fragment and this contact fragment goes to the backstack, and then this is the fragment that is visible now. Now, when you are done with this fragment, right? What you need to do when you are done with this fragment, you need to actually send that user back to the previous fragment, right? You need to send it back. So how will we do that? That's also something we have to think about. Okay, but so what I did is I created it using the normal approach that we just discussed, right? It has some kind of an it has also a factory, right? We might not need the factory because you're not going to create it with anything, right? Basically, this fragment doesn't receive any data, right? When it's being created, it doesn't receive any data. So we don't need actually the factory, okay? We also don't need these parameter stuff here, okay? Also, we don't need these, because we are not getting any parameters. I just need to remove this comment. I don't like this comment, okay? Now, the same story here. We need a view, right? So we need a view equal to this, which is going to inflate, and then we return the view. The view, semicolon. All right, perfect. So that's basically what is happening here, and we'll use that in a little bit, and then there might be a need for a listener. We'll look at that in a little bit, okay? So now, let's say when you click the button, I want to start this fragment. Okay, cool. So now, if you want to do that, so let's go to the contacts fragment. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a void. I'll say start new contact fragment. Okay, cool. So I just created a method that does that. Okay, that's in the and I don't need this one. This one was just there for the sake of just because it was added. Now create new fragment. So now whenever you actually going to click, whenever you want to create a new fragment, we'll use this method, and that method is actually going to be implemented by the main activity. Okay, because see, the main activity implements the interface, right? And I will implement the methods. Boom. Okay, so now how do I create a new fragment? So basically, all what I need to do is I'll say get support fragment dot begin transaction, right? Begin transaction. I will say add or not add. What I'm going to do is add to backstack. Okay, I'll say you can give it a name or just say null. It doesn't matter. So basically, add to backstack, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to add. Add or let's say I think it's called replace. Okay, replace with I'll do the same thing. You need a container ID, right? r.id dot the content view, comma, and then we'll say new create fragment. Okay, and then comma. We'll give it a tag. We'll say it called create fragment, and what we're going to do is we'll say commit. Okay, now this is not working because the same problem that we had before. The create fragment is probably importing fragment, and you need to import the support library. Okay, and you need to import the support library. Perfect. Now I don't know if you're going to use a fragment an interface for it or no, but in order for you to use it here, we also have to say that the main activity also implements the create contact fragment dot the interface for it. Okay, so now we'll go here. There is a method that we have to implement the method, which is this one. Okay, cool. Now if let's go to the contacts fragment. Why it's not happy? Oh yeah. Okay, delete this. We don't need it. See, when the button is pressed, you can call something in the. So instead of doing this, I'm going to do what? So let's delete it. So I'll show you exactly what we're going to do. So when we click the create button, I will do if m listener is not equal to null, right? Then I will do m listener dot start new fragment. Okay, that's supposed to start that new fragment. Okay, because the mListener actually is the context, which is actually the fragment, the activity. And you can see here you're getting the activity on attach. That's the activity. And basically we are casting it to this type, which is the type of the interface. And this means that it has only access to these methods that are inside the interface. Now you run it, and you look at it here, you will see that whenever you click the button, it will show that fragment. I don't know what's the layout for that fragment, so probably it's going to be empty. So let's see. Okay, we click on create fragment, and then you see here, if you go back, you see it shows this one. Create new, it shows this, hello, this is a blank fragment. So now it's working, right? So now if we go to the create contact fragment, and let's say we take the contacts fragment, right? I'll just copy whatever is here. The create contact fragment, I'll just delete that and paste this. Now, because I just like to use these relative layouts. Okay, and it has a button, so I'll keep that button. No, I don't need the button for the time being. So basically, let's have a look at it. What does it should look like? It should have this 3 edit texts, radio thing. I'm not gonna do the radio thing. You guys can do it. I just want to show you how to use to move data from one fragment to the other, and then also I'll include this and the submit button. So I'll have these 3, this picture and the submit button. I'm not gonna have the. You can easily do the radio button. This is straightforward. So I'll have the button, which is probably the submit button, right? Okay, we'll call it button submit, and its text is going to be submit, or I'll just create new contact. Okay, and the width is going to match parent. Cool, have that. So now I need some edit texts, and I'm not going to even do any sanitization checks. You can do that on your own time. Okay, I'll have, okay, let's not do this. Control Z. I need an image first. I'll do an image view. All right, and then this one is this. Okay, and then I have these edit text that I'm going to add. I'll just add all 3 plain text. You can choose whatever you want to choose. That's not what we are trying to exercise here. 3 and 4. Okay, and I need to move this to be to the end. Okay, I can do it like this, and then we could say wrap content. No, I'll make it, the width is match parent, the width here also is match parent, and the width here also is match parent. Cool. Okay, cool. So then I can also check to see if the distance between them is the same or no, and these are cosmetics that you can work on. So you can make, see the top margin is 25. Now the top margin here is 13. Let's make it 10, for example, and then I'll just copy this, and then it's here, and I'll make the top margin also here like this, and you go here. These are all the same. Okay, give them some nice names. This one is image view. I'll just call it image view. This one is going to be the name. Okay, and then this one is going to, oops, this one is going to be the phone, for example. Okay, and then this one is going to be the email. All right, cool. And then you can set up the hints for each one of them. So the texts are empty, and then you get a hint, which is going to be the name. Okay, and then this one is the phone hint. Okay. All right, and then this is going to be the text email. Okay, cool. That's going to be the email. Okay, so here we are. Photo, this, sorry, this, and this. So we can save it, and I also have this imagery button. Cool. So now when you do the create one, we have the view, right? We can go get these values if we need them. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to create text and edit text, right? One of them is called edit text. I like to call them the same name as they are called in the layout. Just Okay, this is the create. And for example, it's edit text name, edit text phone, so edit text name, edit text phone, and edit text email. Okay, and so these are the 3 edit texts that I need. Okay, go back here, we'll say edit text email equal view dot find view by id r dot id dot edit text email. Okay, edit text name equals view dot find view by id r dot id edit text name. Edit text phone equals view dot find view by id r dot id dot edit text phone. Okay, so I have all of them, right? I have all the edit texts. Now the button, we'll say view dot find view by id r dot id dot button submit dot set on click listener. All right, perfect. So that's the button. Now I need to do some sanitization checks. I'm not going to do that. Okay, you can do this on your own time. So basically what I'm going to do is whenever you click the button, I'll create a new, I'll say contact equal new contact, right? And I'm going to pass it, I need to pass it all the information related to the contact, right? So probably that's going to be, and then something else, right? So it says here for the time being, right? So I need the name and the phone, the email, and so on, right? The phone, email, and department. Say this department is going to be SIS. You can have the radio button here that, or the radio group that does this. Okay. So the email, we know that the email is going to be email.getText.toString, right? So that's the email. The phone is going to be edit text phone.getText.toString. That's the phone. Okay. And then the name is going to be edit text name.getText.toString. So that's basically the name, the phone, the email, and the department. So that's the contact, right? Now the question is that I want to send that contact back to, what? Back to the main activity, right? Okay, because the list is maintained in the main activity. So how do I do that? I need here, so I could say void add contact, right? Contact, and then I could just go here and say m listener dot add contact, the contact that we created, right? And I could say then after that finish, or I need to close this fragment. So what I need to do is when I go do the add contact, it's gonna need to also close that fragment. So how we'll do that, let's look at it in a little bit. So now let's go implement add contact. So basically let's go back here. I remove this one because I don't need it. I just need the add contact method. We'll go back. It's not gonna be happy. Very nice. Okay, and we go here, do this, implement methods, add contact. So now add contact, what does it do? It says contacts.add the contact, right? That we just created, and then get support fragment manager dot pull, or sorry, pop back stack. All right, so that's what's going to happen. It's going to add and pop from the backstack. Excellent. So now let's run it and see what's going to happen. So create new contact. Okay, this one is bye-bye. We don't need this because it has the old method. Right, let's run it. Okay, create new contact, shows up this. I'll type some name here. Say, let's say test. The phone is 2222, and let's say the email is q@q.com. Okay, so I have added all of that stuff. I click on create contact. Now it actually did create the contact. q@q.com worked, right? And then it really updated the list. So the question is that how did it update the list? That's something I really would be interested to know, right? So how did it actually update the list? We actually added an item to the list, and that item was sent through the bundle to the other fragment, and because it was added, it got updated here. So that's basically how do we communicate it back to the activity, right? So now something to remember is that what happens when an activity comes back from the backstack. So let's have a look. So when the activity comes back from the backstack, so let's say the fragment lifecycle, right? Let's have a look at the fragment lifecycle. Here we are. Let's have a look at the fragment lifecycle, and you could see that on attach, on create, and then what happens is that the on create view, right? So now let's say this is the on create view, which actually sets up things. So basically, if you look at the contacts fragment, what does it do? We are actually setting up the adapter. That's why we didn't have to notify that it has changed, because the on create view is called. See, when something goes in the backstack, see, if you go to the backstack, it will go here, then returns to the layout from the backstack. When you return back from the layout from the backstack, what it's going to do, it's going to go through the process again. That's why I didn't have to notify that it has changed, because being in the backstack actually destroys the layout. Okay, but it still doesn't call on create or on attach on all of that stuff. So basically, in that case, when we come back, we can even ask for the list if we want, right? We could avoid actually sending the list as part of even the bundle, right? But anyhow, so basically that's what's happening. So what we could do also is, instead of passing it in the bundle, we could ask for the list. So basically we could have here void get list of get contacts or something. Okay, so you could ask for the contacts. So basically when we come back here, what I could do is I could come back and say, give me the contacts. And I could do that in here. Before doing this m contacts equal to this, I could say m contacts equals m listener dot get contacts, right? And then when this happens, oh, it doesn't return anything here. So basically it needs to return not void, it needs to return an array list of contact. Okay, you can do it like this, and then ask for the list if you want, right? But anyhow, so because we are using this approach, we're good. So let's run it again. Okay, so we create new contact, enter some data. I'll just enter DDD and then create new contact, and you can see here DDD. I didn't enter any other information. SIS is by default, that's what we did. Create another contact. The phone number is this. Create the contact, and here we are. Okay, good. So now we want to do the image. Okay, when you click on the image, you want to see these, right? Let's just go back to the code and remind you of how we are actually going back. When you click submit, what happens is when you click create contact, you go here, we create a new contact, given that, assuming you do the check. Okay, now after that we call the mListener add contact, right? So now when you go back to the main activity, the add contact, what it does, it actually adds the new contact to the array list of contacts, right? And then get support manager popped from the stack. So it pops from the stack, and what happens is that what was added in the stack before we showed actually the create contact, it was the previous one, which was the contact fragment. Then it shows the contact fragment. Okay, perfect. So now I think we are in good shape here. Now let's say you wanna also say void get image, right? Get image resource, or get image. Okay. All right, so basically get image, or maybe start get image, for example, something like that. We'll create a new fragment. That's gonna hold, we'll call it image select fragment. Okay, that image select fragment actually doesn't get any, we don't need any parameters, right? We don't need any parameters, and actually we don't even need a factory for it. The arguments, okay, and okay, cool. So that's this. Excellent. So now what's going to happen is, this is the image select fragment. It has, let's Control A, Control C. I'll just image select fragment, Control A, Control. I'm just making it a relative layout. Okay, I just copied whatever we had in the other fragments. Okay, it's a relative layout. Okay, so we are going to add now these images, right? So basically, I'm going to add the images. Let's go to the design. I need some image views. So let's go here. Okay, let's see. I have an image view. Drag and drop here. Okay, escape. This is the first image view that I'm going to use. Gonna be the lady. Another image view that I'm going to use. Gonna be the other lady. So on. Third lady. Another image view. Here we are. The guy. Another image view. Here, gonna be this guy. Another image view. Gonna be the last guy. Excellent. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And you can also see what drawables they are. Okay, I'll call them. So this one is gonna be F1, right? And then this one is gonna be F2. Then this one is gonna be F3. Okay. And it's gonna be M1. And then this one is gonna be M2. Alright, and this one is gonna be M3. Okay, cool. So now I have the images. Does it look like this? Not really. I probably need to introduce some. What I could have done is I could have. Anyhow, you can style it as you want, right? Do up some padding here. Let's say 16 dp or something as padding, and it will look a little bit better. Here we go. Okay. Cool. So now what we're going to do is when this activity starts, I need to bring in all these image views and set up an on-click listener for them. Okay, cool. So what we are going to do is in the create fragment. Oh, this guy is not happy because probably there is a method that we had to implement. We added this start get image or something, right? Okay, the image view selector, same story. We'll go here to the inflator. Go here to the inflator, right? We'll say view equal view, right? View equals, right? Return view, right? So that's the view that's going to be inflated, and here is our chance to catch these images and set the on-click listeners, right? Why it's not happy? This one is okay. I think we're looking good here. All right, so now I need these images, right? So we'll say view, find view by ID, r.id. And it's called image view F1, right? Set on-click listener to this. Okay, I'll just make sure that the fragment actually implements the listener. Okay, F1, and then F2, 3, F4, M1, M2, and here we are, M3, and then this I'll go up here and say implements view dot on click list. All right, perfect. So now I need to create the on click, implement the method on click. Cool. So here we are. Okay. Now when the user clicks, this method is going to be called. Okay. Now when this method gets called, what do I want to do? Actually, I want to send this activity the ID of the resource that is being used, right? So I'll say view void, okay, send new image ID, right? And that image ID is some integer ID, okay? That's what I need to do, okay? And it's actually going to close this activity. So basically, actually, let's say you clicked, right? I'll say mlistener.send, just for the sake of this. And actually, no, let's do it. So basically, what I will do is I'll say if view.getID is equal to r.id image view f1, right? then what I'm going to do is I have int id equals, this is the int id. Okay, int id equal -1, right, just to start with, and then id is going to be r dot drawable dot f1, right? So that's going to be the id. Okay, so now that's what I'm going to do, and I have a lot of else if. Okay, a lot of else ifs that are going to happen here, and then you just check to see f2, and then there's going to be 2 here. Okay, and so on, right? I know it's a little bit boring, but I could have maybe written this code in a little bit better way, but that's not the goal of this exercise, right? Right, so here we are. So this is f2, and then this is going to be f3, and this is m1, this is m2, right? And I could have added it as a tag or something. I can do that also, right? m3. All right, excellent. So here we are. 1 2 3 4 5 2 3, this is 3, and then this is going to be m1, and then this is m2, and this is going to be m3. Okay, perfect. So now here what we're going to do is we're going to mListener dot send image id, and this is the id that we just retrieved. Okay, cool. So that's what is going to happen. Now what's this mListener going to do, okay, is, let's say we go back here, it's not going to be happy because it needs you to implement, oh, you say comma, image select fragment dot on fragment listener, and we have to implement methods. I'm not going to implement the first one, I'm just going to implement the second one. The first one I don't need it, I'll just delete it. This one is not needed here. Okay, so we are here, we sent it this. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pop off the stack, right? I can do that, right? Yes, I popped it off the stack, yes. And then when you pop it off the stack, right? So we need maybe the main activity to maintain what's the selected image, right? So we could say main activity. I could say integer image ID. -1, for example, right? That's the image ID. And then whenever then image ID is going to be, image ID is equal to ID that came back. Okay, cool. So that's the image ID. Excellent. Okay. So whenever you do the send image thing, you say send image. It is, okay, we don't need this. It's as if you are sending that image, that ID, back to the fragment. So basically, when does this happen? When the user clicks. So when the user clicks, we figure out which one he clicked, and then we say send back. When you send back, this method is being called. Actually, it pops from the stack. It actually sets the ID to this, and then pops it from the stack. Now, what's going to happen is that when it pops it from the stack, that create fragment is now going to ask the main activity to tell it, hey, give me, what is the... So let's see in a little bit. We didn't try this method, start get image, right? So let's refract it this. Refract it to something a little bit more meaningful. Start image selector or something. Image selector. Okay, so that's, now we are in where? We are in the create contact fragment, right? So when in the create contact fragment, you're going to say, okay, create a contact fragment, coming here, and you say start the image selector. How do you start the image selector? Same story. You go here, copy this code, go back here. You are here, and you click on this button, right? What should happen is that this guy should go to the backstack, right? And then this guy gets this displayed. Okay. So now we're going to do is that this is the, it will replace by what? This one is the image select fragment, and we'll call it all right. Okay, good. So then this one is not happy, most probably because of the same reason, that the fragment is not the support fragment. Okay, cool. So we're good here. Actually, if we run it, let's see what happens. At least things will get wired. Let's see if it go to actually wired. Let's see. All right. We're here. Click on create new. and I clicked on this picture, nothing is happening, maybe because we didn't set up that link. Alright, so let's see. So this is the create contact fragment. What is this? This is a submit button. We never did anything with the picture. So the create contact fragment, I need to know what this image is called. It's called image view. Okay, we go back here. Okay, we'll do view dot find view by id r dot id dot image view dot set on click listener new on click listener. Okay, cool. So that's when you click on that image, and then when you click on it, what we're going to do is we say start selector, right? So we'll say m listener start selector. Perfect. Okay, we'll run it again. And then what does the start selector do? The main activity implements it. It actually just creates the image selector, right? And pushes the current one to the stack, right? So you go here, create new contact, click on here, it picks, you pick one of them, you go back. Why? Because when you pick one of them, what happens? You click on the button, right? Any of these buttons, any of these images, it comes here and it calls the listener, send image to the ID, it sends it to the main activity, it receives it, it pops from the stack to whatever it was there. All right, so you click here, pick this guy. If you go back, it shows this one. Click new, click here, clicked on this guy. Now the question is that if you pick an image, right? I pick this image. I want to send it back to this guy, right? So now I'm sending it back to the main activity, and the main activity is storing it in this variable, right? So now, and then you pop something from the stack. So what happens when you pop something from the stack? The first thing it's going to do on create view, right? Yes. So in the on create view, I could ask the main activity, hey, give me the image view that you have. All right. So how do I do that? So in the create fragment, I create in here, I could say void, or not void, I could say integer, get new image, get current image, right? Get me the current image, okay? And then basically get me the current image is simply, it's not happy because it needs this get me the current image. Okay, get me the current image, it's simply going to return what? This dot, the image ID, right? Yes? Basically, also you have to keep in mind is that when somebody says start the image selector, you need to set that image ID to -1, just to clear it, okay? When somebody says I want to start the image selector, okay, this means that they are gonna create a new image, okay? Perfect. We can do something like that if we need it, if we need to do that, if that's the case, right? Yeah, so let's do -1, okay? All right. So, okay, so get current image gets you the image, okay? Now, when will this happen? This will happen when you are here. See, we can come here, and I already have the image view, so basically I could go here and say image view equals view dot find view by id r dot id dot the image view that we are talking about, right? And then basically instead of doing find view by id, I'll just use that image view. And maybe we need a variable, we need to make it a global variable or here, because we will be using it. Whenever the user changes the picture, I need to change the image view. So now what I could do is I could say, the following. I could say get me the image, right? Or I could store it somewhere here. The image ID. Okay, I can come here and say give me the image ID. Image ID equals listener dot get the current image. Okay, and now what I would do is that say image view if the image ID is greater than 0, is not equal to -1, right? -1, right? Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to say image view set image resource to what? To image ID. Okay, perfect. Let's try that and see what happens. Okay, we save and play. go back, see what's going to happen. Create new one. I click here, pick the girl, now it's the girl. Click here, pick the other girl, now it's the other girl. Click here, click the guy, it's the guy. Okay, so that's the selected image. Okay, now notice what's gonna happen if I click here and I just go back. Now there's no image selected. Now it's -1. Why? Because when you go back, it just gets the current image, but you see the current image is set to -1 whenever you say I'm gonna start a new image. See? When I click here, now the current image is -1, by the way. When you click on this, now this current image becomes this. Why? Because you see here, whenever you say start the image selector, I'm setting it to -1 to reset the image. And then you go, you open it, you pick one. When it comes back, it's set to whatever, right? To whatever you set it to. Okay, makes sense? So that's what I'm doing here. So basically I clicked here, click on this guy. Now let's incorporate the image into the story here. Okay, so basically I'll delete these contacts. We don't need them anymore. Okay, just these were for experimental purposes. We'll go back to the contact fragment, the create contact fragment, and when you click the button, the image will be whatever you have here, the image ID, and we will add the image ID to the picture. Okay, and you can do the ready buttons at your own time. So let's run it now. Okay, now we create a new contact. We click here, pick the first girl, we'll say Alice. Phone is 11111, and the email is a@a.com. Create new contact, and it's still showing this. Why? Because we actually didn't change the adapter. So when we go to the adapter, where's the adapter? The adapter was in the contacts fragment, right? There is an adapter somewhere here. Here is the adapter, right? So what we could do here, we could say if contact.get image ID is not equal to -1, right? What we're gonna do is we're gonna say image view.set image resource to contact.get image ID, and then we can have else what we're gonna do is we'll just set it to some other resource. So we'll say image.set image resource r.drawable dot, maybe we'll do the angry. You want the angry one, or we could do, for example, select avatar. You know, in that case something is going to happen. So we run it. Okay, and then when you run this, let's see what happens. It's at least going to, if you select the picture, so we go here, click here, the first girl, and say I111, and then let's give it some email. I'm not checking for anything, and create new contact, and here we go. So pick the first girl, and then go here. Now it's still set to the first girl, so we need to address this, but you go here. Now it's gonna be and we can set it create the contact, and here we go. Now if we create a new contact, you see it's set up to this guy. We can do that also. How do we create a new contact? We create a new contact by saying start new contact fragment. In here we just say image ID equal -1, right? In that case, when you run it again, see, when you click on it, okay, so create new contact, click here, girl, do this, and you have the email, click create, you can see it's this girl. Now when I create new contact, it's still show avatar, very nice. So click here, then the phone number, create new contact. Excellent, perfect. I hope this was useful. Please let me know if you have any questions. Thank you.